As I mentioned, I never think about cybersecurity as a weapon. Now I know that cybersecurity is a weapon. It's like a real weapon. And maybe it's not maybe, I'm sure that it is more dangerous than any rocket. We see it in Ukraine, and I believe that you think that it can't happen to you or it can't happen to anyone else. It happens only in movies. But trust me, it's not true. It can happen to anyone, like anytime, because digital war is different. Like you're not always sure, like from which country these attacks come, etc. And I saw the statistics that UK is also one of the most attacked countries from the Russian side. So it can happen anytime, at any point, to anyone. So cybersecurity is literally critical, especially when you combine it with other types of attacks.
Discover the future of cybersecurity, where Secure, CyberConnect and the International Cyber Expo join forces on Tuesday, the 30th September and Wednesday, the 1st of October at the Olympia, London. Join global experts, explore the latest tech, and connect with leaders from over 85 countries, all under one roof. Register for free, the link in our bio.
Welcome to the Secure CyberConnect podcast with Jadinson and Maura Atkinson, original by information cybersecurity, technology and talent acquisition professionals. We share their journeys, unique perspectives and offer advice and guidance.
Our topics on this episode will be 50 years to close the cybersecurity gender gap. Will women catch up? Today we're delighted to be joined by Iryna Volnytska. Iryna is at the forefront of developing tech education in Ukraine through the SET University, a non-for-profit institution established to educate tech leaders. She brings the perspective of leading SET University that was founded just weeks before the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. She launched the first cybersecurity course during the first months of the war and received 5,500 applications immediately. Iryna has over 10 years of experience within executive positions and is one of the few women leading cybersecurity transformation and has co-founded two cybersecurity startups, the SET Cyber Labs and IronCyber. Her expertise in building resilient cyber talent under real attack conditions and developing education that is both practical and battle-tested in transforming Ukraine's frontline cyber experience into global startups. Today, they already have two cybersecurity startups based at SET. One built with a former CIA expert focused on protecting the most vulnerable organizations globally. The second created by Ukrainian defenders, which turns real-world frontline cyber experience into immersive training through red teaming and cyber ranges. Iryna, welcome to the Secure CyberConnect podcast and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for the invitation.
And look, I want to kick off by commending you and team and your peers for all that you're doing at the moment. Our thoughts are with you, your friends, family in the region. And as we get into things, could you share with the audience a high-level overview of some of the topics and themes that we're going to explore in today's discussion?
Yeah, as a person who lives in Ukraine, of course, I want to share not only our experience, but also the expertise, because I believe that under this hard conditions, we also earned a lot, and we are very open to share it with the world.
No, that's brilliant. I know from our previous discussions, some of the impact that you've been able to sort of put in place and deliver, and we're really excited to explore that further in the conversation. And could you share with the audience something that you're proud of or perhaps excited about that isn't featured on your LinkedIn?
Yeah, I came from business, not the academia, and I used to be a CEO of a really big company, but at some point of my life, I felt that there is no sense in it, and I twice in my life made the choice, like choosing the impact over the money. The first one was when I quit my job and I went to Myanmar. I lived in Buddhist temple, and that's how I realized that education, it's actually the most critical thing on earth, because with education, you can change the world. There are a lot of bad things that would have never happened if humans had more critical thinking, for example. That's how I decided to work in education. And the second one was when the war started. the full-scale invasion started, I actually was in Miami. I had my connection flight. I was coming back to Ukraine from the Ecuador, so I stuck in Miami, and I had an offer from my friends from Silicon Valley to work in a very successful startup that actually in 3 weeks they became a unicorn. But I chose to come back to Ukraine, and when everyone were leaving the country, I was going back to launch the university.
No, I do thank you for that and commend you for your contributions.
And one of the questions we ask all of our guests, Iryna, is very much if they can describe a particular moment or a significant challenge that they faced in their career that very much shaped their views on cybersecurity.
I think that for Ukrainians, we have the only answer is the war, because before the war, I never thought about cybersecurity as a weapon. And now, like most of attacks on Ukraine, it's a combined attacks, like starts with the cybersecurity attack, and then like rockets, weapons, like everything else is following. So it's like really critical. And it's not a physical war, it's a hybrid war, it's a digital war as well.
Absolutely. And we'll get into this a little bit more in talking about Ukraine's resilience to sort of within the cyber talent space. We talked about it in the intro, but if you'd be kind of to maybe elaborate in more detail as to what inspired you to launch, the SET University right in the middle of what is a full-scale invasion.
The idea came to me when I was in Myanmar. So I decided that my life should be around education, because I saw like that world is like really struggling with everything, like especially with the critical thinking. So my idea was focused very much on Ukraine, because in education, everyone thinks that in Ukraine we have a lot of very brilliant engineers, and it's true. But unfortunately, we do not have like any products and like any added value in Ukraine, because like all these engineers, they work for international companies, for international projects. So added value never stays in Ukraine, in my country. And my idea was to help to build the ecosystem of added value in Ukraine. So the idea for SET University was to teach not only technology, but how to transform technology into business. Our students, they do not write theses, they create their own startup. And with this idea, I was like really very inspired. And when the war started, when the full invasion started, I understood that actually education is one of the most crucial things now. We saw a lot of attacks. That's how I realized that we need to focus on cybersecurity, because it's also a digital war. So I came back to Ukraine and did my best to launch the first cybersecurity course. We were the first educational institution that started to teach. Like a lot of people thought that we are crazy, because Russians were still in Kiev, and we were teaching like cybersecurity like for everyone. It's not only crucial for defense, but it's also crucial for economy, because a lot of I would say traditional industries were physically ruined with missiles. And IT, tech, it's like the only industry that even grew during the first year of the war. So a lot of people, they just switched for digital work, because you can work from your laptop, you can work remotely, you can work in a bomb shelter. So it also was really crucial for the economy. Like a lot of women joined this program, a lot of men were drafted to the army, and a lot of I would say that we also have IT army. It's like the first case in the world when all these IT engineers and people who at least know something about digital, they gathered together, and they also launched some types of attacks on Russia in cybersecurity space. And we need to teach like all of them to help them, because again, in Ukraine, you think about Ukraine as a country with strong engineers, but education like really struggling. We have all this Soviet legacy, and there is no philanthropy, and the education is like really weak. And I believe if we do not support education, we have no future.
No, indeed. And I'd just like to echo, Warren's comments really about what an incredible, important initiative you're putting together, and we can only commend you on taking the fight to obviously the situation you're facing. And in those first chaotic months of the war, what really shaped your approach to cyber education?
We saw that we don't have 4 years for a bachelor degree. We need people now, and we need really skilled people, and we need them fast. So we focused on a very practical education. I don't know if I can say so, but in our case, Ukraine, it's a sandbox for everything, even from the early beginning, we can link our students with the real accidents. They have a perfect playground like Russia to attack, etc., to test all the solutions. So for us, it was about really very, very practical education and really fast education.
And maybe is there a specific story that maybe surrounds one of your or some of the very first students that you engage with that still resonates with you that you could share?
Yeah, actually, when you said the word engaged, actually I am engaged with my first student from the cybersecurity course. We wanted to also to teach military, because in terms of military, they had also a very weak education in cybersecurity. We have a lot of reasons for this, and our idea was also to find as much as possible military people to teach. And actually, he was our first student in this program. And then he left for education in US, and then he came back, and he wanted to teach at SET universities, but he also came up with the idea of a startup that actually we have now in our ecosystem of cybersecurity startup. And somehow we got engaged. It's my personal story. I think this story will stick with me for the next 100 years, I hope. And the second story, I would say it's about women, because what we saw is first time, I would say, in Ukrainian history, or maybe even in the world's history, when we had more applications for cybersecurity course from women than from men. And we have a lot of cases when it was their first job in cybersecurity. It's we have a lot of women who actually never had any working experience. They just housewives, or sometimes they work in some traditional industries. But when the war started, a lot of men, they were drafted to the army. So women, they just do not have a choice. They need to go and to learn something to support their family, to support the economy. And we have cases when these women, they actually found their first job in cybersecurity. And for example, one of them, it's already been 3 years, she also launched a cybersecurity startup. So she started from housewife. She took this 3 months course. She found her first job in cybersecurity, and now she has a startup. And there is also a reason for this. We have more and more female entrepreneurs, not only because men are drafted to the army and women need to support the family, but also because it's forbidden for men to leave the country, and it's only women who can travel. So for us, a majority of our clients, they are outside of Ukraine, and you need to travel, you need to sell your services or your products. And that's also push women to join business and to take not only traditional technical roles, but also entrepreneurial roles.
Some incredible and inspiring stories there, Iryna. Thank you.
No, and on that a bit further, that rapid reskilling, are there any figures perhaps that you can share in terms of how it's enabled women and career changers to step into critical roles versus, pre-wartime, for instance?
Do you want some figures?
Yeah, how much has that grown, in comparison to, what it was pre-war?
It's actually the topic of my speech for the event. because what we saw is that before the war we have like only 5% women in cybersecurity, and now it's over 30. Like in 3 years, it's a huge growth. So I do not believe in all these researchers that say like you need like 50 years to reach the parity in cybersecurity. You know, when you have a strong motivation, you can reach it much faster. And we see that this number is growing like from year to year because we see some successful cases. Again, you don't think about all these bias stereotypes of women in tech because you just literally don't have time for this. You know, you need to support the country, you need to support the family, and you know, you need to grow the business inside of the country.
No, it's encouraging to see. And it's something obviously we noticed earlier in the last century, World War II, for instance, the UK, you know, a lot of the men were obviously in Europe fighting, and women and children, of course, stepped up and carried that load and, you know, helped overcome the adversaries in that respect. Now, moving on from it slightly, you know, how does training under live cyber attacks differ, of course, from traditional classroom learning?
We almost do not have a theory. We have, it is like very practice based. When we started it, like we linked our students with the real accidents, with some real cases, and it also inspired us to launch a startup that helps cyber ranges in Ukraine. You know, like we didn't have like a lot of cyber ranges before. We didn't have our own products in cybersecurity, but now we have such a huge experience that we thought of how we can monetize this experience, but also to share it with the world. And it was about training and cyber ranges. It was about practical education. So we train our students only on real world attacks that happened on Ukraine. We group it by different like Russian ATPs, for example, just to learn how they work. We also share this expertise like through this startup with the world. And our second startup, it's also actually about education. It's a second crazy story of us because we launched it with the ex-cybersecurity, ex-CIA expert. He was a volunteer to teach at our university. We actually have a lot of volunteers who teach cybersecurity from all over the world, from top companies. And when he started teaching at our university, his alma mater were hacked by Russian hackers. He quit his job. He was a VP of cybersecurity in a big startup. And he decided to launch his own startup that will connect US with Ukraine. It's MDR, and we protect only like the most vulnerable organizations like higher education, hospitals all over the world. So we have a team in US, and in this US team work the students from his alma mater, and in our Ukrainian team work the students from our university. So they get the real world experience. They have experience of working for an international team. For Ukraine, it's like super important because we have this crazy cultural difference between Western world and our Soviet Union, like Soviet legacy, I would say. So for our students, it's a real world expertise in cybersecurity, in a real startup, and in multicultural teams. And this is the education that I personally believe in, when you do not learn only theory, but you learn like this practical things, also this multicultural environment, because it's not only about technical skills, it's also about the mindset, about soft skills, etc. So now we focus on like very, very practical education.
No, it's good. And I think, you know, having that diversity of thought, of course, it gives you that competitive edge. And, you know, those individuals that are going through the university program are, you know, going to be miles ahead of those individuals that are perhaps in a less pressured environment. And of course, having that practical hands-on experience certainly sets you apart. Now, for students to sort of, you know, join the university as such and to join the program, what are the must-have skills that they need?
I would say that what we see in Ukraine, first of all, you need to have crisis management skills. You need I would say not even crisis management, but also resilience and creativity, because usually we need to work from bomb shelters. We need to we have very not standard tasks to solve, and you need this creativity, and usually it's companies they underestimate all the skills, but it's really crucial. And of course problem solving, I would say.
That makes sense. And how do you think that Ukraine's exposure to obviously state-sponsored attacks has reshaped your views on cybersecurity as a national asset now?
As I mentioned, I never thought I never think about cybersecurity as a weapon. Now I know that cybersecurity is a weapon. It's like a real weapon, and maybe it's much. Not maybe. It's. I'm sure that it is more dangerous than any rocket. We see it in Ukraine, and I believe that you think that it can't happen to you or it can't happen to anyone else. It happens only in movies. But trust me, it's not true. It can happen to anyone, anytime, because digital war is different. You're not always sure, from which country these attacks come, etc. And I saw the statistics that UK is also one of the most attacked countries from the Russian side. So it can happen anytime, at any point, to anyone. So cybersecurity is literally critical, especially when you combine it with other types of attacks.
That makes sense. And obviously, given the significant growth in the industry over the last 2 years, especially from a Ukrainian standpoint, as you mentioned, growing from 5% female representation to 40%, do you think that Ukraine can monetize its crisis-born cyber expertise globally, sort of once the war is over? And do you think you're going to be sort of a key player in the market space?
We are trying. What can I say? Again, we have this Soviet legacy. In Soviet Union, entrepreneurship was literally forbidden. If you're an entrepreneur, you go to jail. That was the rule. So we still have this trauma, I would say entrepreneurial trauma, but we have a very strong motivation. We have a very good example of Israel. And now, before the full-scale invasion, Ukrainians, the world saw Ukrainians as Russians, literally. We were a part. That's true. We were a part of Russian hacker groups, etc. So to launch a cybersecurity product or startup in Ukraine, it was almost impossible, because with our reputation, we couldn't sell it outside of Ukraine. We didn't have a trust to Ukraine, and now the situation is changed. It's very different from everything that was before, and it is very different in terms of innovation from any other part of the world, because it's not Silicon Valley style. You break things and then you try again. In Ukraine, if you fail, people dies. That's it. So you don't have this, I would say, this luxury of keep trying, breaking things, etc. We have the rockets that literally break things. So all our products, you can trust in our products. They work in a very hard conditions. They work on real attacks, and that's what I encourage all cybersecurity providers to come to Ukraine and test your products. It's the best playground for you. It's the best test bed where you can test your product. So trying it in Ukraine. If it works in Ukraine, it will work everywhere.
Yeah, we've seen that some of our partners actually support the Ukrainian government and a number of your manufacturing plants in terms of defending and protecting your IoT and OT systems there. And they've actually sort of put their services in place completely free of charge to support the efforts in that respect. And for other nations, other leaders that perhaps are tuning in, hopefully, how could they and how should they treat cybersecurity as innovation, not just defense?
I wouldn't say that they treat cybersecurity as innovation or defense. I would say that in most European countries, you treat cybersecurity as a compliance. That's what we saw from from different reports, etc. And in Ukraine, we treat cybersecurity as defense. But what we need to learn how to treat it as like a real innovation. It's hard to do innovations in cybersecurity. Like it's not the industry that where you can innovate easily, but still it is possible. And if you again look at Ukraine, like we don't have like real innovations, like something that we invented, for example. But what we did, we built a very strong cybersecurity products that can work on like in different conditions. And I would say that for Western countries, it's also very important to treat cybersecurity not as a compliance industry, but also as innovation industries. It doesn't mean always inventions, but it's all about products that you can trust.
And just going into things a little bit more in terms of the startups you've been involved. How does some of the startups that you've been involved in yourself turn, maybe that frontline experience into more scalable tools for the rest of the world?
We were thinking about building our own cyber range, but we thought that we will limit and we will limit the clients with only our cyber range. So we are very open to provide all the cyber scenarios, all real world attacks that were made on Ukraine for other cyber ranges, like just to scale the impact. Like for example, we work with cyber ranges, and they work with different military organizations all over the world, and I know that they work, they train with our scenarios, and for us, it's like the biggest impact that we can have for now. Things like for the second iteration, we will think about really building a cyber range, but it will be like later.
And you've talked a bit, obviously, we've talked about the crisis-driven innovation, and obviously the motivation doesn't need to be elaborated on anymore. But if you could talk a bit more about organizations who are looking to build resilient and diverse cyber teams, what are some of the blind spots that maybe cyber defense can be solved by in terms of working with more diverse teams?
If we talk about women, what I saw, and actually there are a lot of researchers for this, that women, we have a different skill set in terms of soft skills. So women are much better in explaining things, in working with clients, etc., in empathy as well. And cybersecurity, it's not only about technical skills. It's also about the soft skills. And I believe that women bring a different perspective on many things. And again, there are a lot of researchers that teams that have women, they are much more successful in terms of revenues, in terms of client acquisition, etc. So it's not about like helping women to join the industry, like when you work without women, you really miss half of the market, half of your potential market. So it's about win-win. It's also about money to include women and diverse talents.
100%. And is there any particular story or example that you could maybe share that would maybe not have happened otherwise, if it were not for having a higher level of women and a more diverse team?
You will be surprised, but in Ukraine, we didn't have military tech industry before the full scale invasion, and now like half of our military defense industry is managed by women. Like they work they lead the accelerators, they lead companies, etc. And I believe that it also brings very different perspective on the most crucial thing during the war. It's ethics. Because again, women are more about soft skills. We saw that, again, it's a research, it's just not from my head or something, that women usually twice more often focused on impact than men. And when you build products in military tech or defense industry, with all this experience and all the data that we have in Ukraine, for us it's like really very crucial to have ethics, because we don't want our products to end up in China or North Korea, etc. And I would say this like ethical things, it is brought also by women from their, like I would say, it's like soft skill side.
And for organizations on a more global basis, to listening to you and obviously getting some takeaways from this in terms of building their own resilient and diverse teams within cyber. Is there any sort of 3 steps that you could maybe part with that organizations could implement pretty quickly?
I would say that you start with education. It's also always a matter of education, because it all starts in your childhood, when your mother buy you a doll, not a car, because you heard, like what I heard from my own experience, that cars, it's not for girls. You like take a Barbie or something, and that starts in childhood, and then you go to school, and it continues at school, then in university. I would say that we need to work like also with the parents, like to reach this parity in future. But for organizations, it's also about education. If you want to do it fast, you can work with I want to say with universities, but it's not true. Just you still need to start with school, because like 70% of girls, they do not choose STEM education. They prefer to go to psychology, whatever it is, but not STEM education. For companies to do it fast, you just support scholarships, you provide your mentors for universities, and then you chose like the best students. Is like a very obvious strategy. But also, like we usually see that women, they also face this glass ceiling when you can't reach managerial positions. And all the researchers, they show that women inside of the organizations, they need to have a female mentors, just to help them to reach these managerial positions. So you can work like as a company, you invest in education, you invest in mentorship programs inside of your organizations, and you also need to create this company policies to support women. It's also like really important. Like we think that now that we are all equal, like women and men, it's not always true, because in terms of hormones, pregnancy, all those things, like it's like really different. We see all these statistics that women, they really lose like 1 or 2 years of their careers during the pregnancy. So we need to build a very female-friendly or maternity-friendly workspaces, when you can leave your child, etc. So it's also the responsibility of the company.
Absolutely. And just expanding on that a little bit, and there's a lot of reskilling going on. There's a lot of reskilling being talked about. We know we're at a pivotal time in tech in general and cyber by proxy in terms of AI's, I guess, influence on a lot of the new tools coming through. How can individuals pivot, into cybersecurity and then navigate what will be, rapid reskilling, and how can they do that as effectively as possible?
I want to start with education in general. because you started with AI, and AI is reshaping everything. It is reshaping the job market, how we learn, how we work, how we teach. And like when I think about my parents, they went to the university, they got a profession, and they worked in this profession for like 15-20 years. So the duration of skills was almost 20 years at the time. Me, I am like 37 years old. According to the researchers, I know that my generation, we will change like 5%, 5 professions or something. And the young people who now entering the university, the bachelor degree, like they will change 10 professions, and 8 professions out of these 10 professions, they do not exist now. So what we need to teach in university? So all the industry of education must be changed. So like the most crucial thing to learn is how to learn. And then you have upskilling, like during your life, like almost each year, because now the duration of skills is less than 5 years. So everything that you learn during your first grade of a bachelor degree, it will can't be outdated when you graduate from the university. And the same thing for cybersecurity. It is moving even faster. So your strategy should be to be ready to learn all the time. But first you need to understand, like, if you like cybersecurity in general, what is it? What jobs exist inside cybersecurity? What is for you? Like, it's not always technical jobs. You also can find something non-technical. And then you create your strategy for reskilling or upskilling. You could there are a lot of options to do this, even starting with ChatGPT, which can be your personal tutor. Like even ChatGPT can explain you what to do and how, if you know how to work with it, and you have like critical thinking to work again with artificial intelligence. Then you have all these platforms like edtech companies, different courses. You can take a course, understand if you like this or not, and then if you want to have a strong foundation, you always can go to study at the university to learn the fundamentals again, because reskilling, it's enough to join the industry, but it's not enough to grow, I would say. And the university, it's actually this like fundamental thing that gives you all the skills you need to grow in your career. So you can choose like a lot of different strategies, but first just be sure that cybersecurity is the industry that you really want to work in, because each year you will need to upskill yourself and to learn something new in cybersecurity.
I think to add to that is the access to the support networks and the sense of community within the cybersecurity space. I think is second to none.
Yeah, exactly. Community, it's also like very crucial, because through community, you also learn a lot of things, and peer-to-peer education is crucial. And sometimes it's like the most interesting one.
Absolutely. And going forward, what excites you about the next 5 years in terms of cyber talent development, global cyber talent development?
What excites me? It's a very good question, because now, more than ever, I realized that we do not know anything. And the most crucial skill is to be agile, to be ready for everything that is coming. And this may be first time in the world's history when you need to focus more on your soft skills than your hard skills, like to learn all this problem solving, like critical thinking, to know how to learn during your life, and all these things would be crucial in future. And this is what excites me more, because I like all this agile environment. Like, this is a place where you can innovate. Like, it opens a lot of opportunities as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing, Iryna.
And on the softer skills, we've certainly seen individuals sort of sharpen those when they attend events. And with that in mind, industry events such as the International Cybersecurity Expo, how are they uniquely positioned to help churn ideas and research into actionable solutions?
I would say that these events, like they are very important just to make the connections, to understand what is happening. It gather a lot of people from different industries, from different parts of the world. It's crucial to have this diversity. For example, we do not have something like that in our country. And I believe that innovations happens only on interconnection between like different individuals, between different companies, between different industries. And the events that can gather it all together is just crucial for this innovation spark.
And for anyone that is perhaps attending for the first time, or even a seasoned leader, or even some that are tuning in virtually to ICE, what's the single most important strategy to get maximum value from the experience itself?
I am attending for the first time, but usually I'm a speaker on different events, and it's like in life, you need to be prepared. You know, you need if you want something, you need to know how to explain what you want and what you do, and you need to explain it in a 1 minute. When your like when a person has your have your attention. So for me, the most crucial thing is to be prepared, to know what I do, and to explain it in a very short period of time. Just check the speakers, check the attendees. Like the best thing for me is to reach them in advance, because during the conference it's like literally it's impossible to find someone you can, I rely only on serendipity, and it happens for me like a lot of times, but to meet some people during the conference. But much better like to know what you want and to have your goals clear, so then you can reach the right person for you.
No, that makes sense. And I think a short, concise LinkedIn connection request with a follow-up message always goes a long way. One thing that we say to a lot of students, for instance, or those looking to break into the industry, is follow those 3 steps. Personalized connection request. When you are then connected, engage with their post, send them a message, and to really stand out in their inbox, perhaps send them a brief voice note or video message. Personalize that, and more often than not, that will prompt them with a response of some sort.
Yeah, exactly. You need to reach in advance, and you have like a lot of social media to do it.
And you're going to be speaking at ICE this year. What key lesson from your experience in building cyber talent and innovation solutions do you hope that participants will take away from your talk?
That you don't need to wait 50 years. You can reach parity like in 5 years, and it's a win-win strategy for everyone. Just do not wait. Do not listen to all this bias, etc. There is like a very clear steps that you can take to do it.
No, that's brilliant. And still focused on ICE. What excites you most about attending?
Actually, it's my first time on cybersecurity conference in UK. For me, UK is a special country, and I know that you have a very strong cybersecurity industry. So I hope to get more partnerships, to have more this win-win collaborations, also to promote cybersecurity industry like from Ukraine, just also to share our experience. Again, I believe that we have a lot of expertise that is like really very, very valuable, and to make to our countries more connected in terms of cybersecurity. We are very happy like to provide all these test environments for everything you do.
No, that's brilliant. And appreciate you may have touched on some of it a moment ago, but could you share more in terms of your vision, mission, and your purpose sort of moving forward and what the future holds for yourself?
I hope and I mean, I'm doing everything to reach this. I'm not just hope, but I believe that Ukraine can become a cybersecurity hub of the region. I want to follow this Israeli model. I believe that we really protect a democratic world, not only on physical level, but also in cybersecurity space. I believe that, as a person from Ukraine, I really believe in the like third, like World War III in future or something like this. And I believe that we can avoid this if we work all together, like on protecting our cyberspace, which we share. Like it's not only Ukrainian cyberspace. There is no borders for this. So my big mission in this life just to create this cybersecurity defense industry, I would say, in Ukraine, to help to protect the democratic world, also like with all the companies and added value in Ukraine, we can make the economy stronger because, we win the war, and what is next? We need a strong economy, we need people back to Ukraine, and people will come back to Ukraine only if we have opportunities inside of the country. So my big idea is to build a cybersecurity hub in Ukraine, and for this cybersecurity hub to become, like I would say, like cybersecurity industry, like follows the example of Israel, and we are very strong in cybersecurity.
No, that's brilliant. And I know, speaking myself and Jay, it's been a really fascinating discussion today. And for our listeners here in the UK and on a global stage, if they want to support your efforts or find out more, what's the best way for them to sort of connect and get in contact with you outside the Secure Cyber Connect community platform, for instance?
You can reach me literally everywhere. You can reach me in LinkedIn. I always answering. You can use like Facebook, Instagram, except Twitter, because I don't support Musk.
No, makes sense.
But everything else like works for me.
No, that's brilliant. Well, look, I personally look forward to seeing you in the coming weeks, and so myself and Jared will be joining you at ICE. So we're looking forward to that, and we hope, of course, our community members, audience, join us there also.
Yes, Iryna, to echo Warren's comments, it's been a real privilege to have you on the pod. We've had a lot of guests in our sort of first 60 odd episodes, but I think this has definitely been one of the most inspirational conversations we've had, and it's been an absolute fascination just listening to the work that you're doing. And we'd like to say a huge thank you to yourself, and I'm sure the community and all our listeners will have found a massive amount of value and inspiration in today's episode. If people want to continue the discussion and for more sustained engagement, as always, we invite you to join the Secure Cyber Connect community, where we offer collaborative solutions for tech and security professionals at no cost. Expansive community access, mutual mentoring, online networking, and exclusive interviews such as this, with panel discussions, masterclasses, and live events throughout the year. Thank you very, very much, Iryna. It's been a pleasure.